Hello, welcome to Warblog. Today I'm going to play this game again. So this is like a second attempt. This isn't like the third video of the series. I'm starting again based on the two previous versions, the one from quite a long time ago and the one from very recently, like sort of yesterday. I'm not going to go into too much because we all know, if you've been keeping a track on things, what should be happening, but this is the nut to crack. However, like in all good games, you learn as you go through, and I think the thing to pick up on is you get quite a lot of reinforcements. So taking this out quickly is not actually that important. What's more important is not allowing the HTS forces to get weak, isolated units, because that's how they destroy them. Now, in regards to that, I think we've got to question what we do with these units. For example, is it actually worth preserving them? I mean, holding those positions, And if so, is it worth reinforcing them early on? Because we've got these units here. So, just to sort of annotate that idea a little, maybe, these areas, is it worth holding them? Because they're quite vulnerable. Or is it worth somehow pulling them back like this, and even pulling these back and forming a line somewhere along there? Or is it worth somehow reinforcing these elements like that? Now, I don't know what I want to do. I haven't thought of it that far ahead. But what I do know is that we're going to get reinforcements here, and when they do come in, I think it's worth bearing in mind their significance at that stage, because we can hold fire with sort of large elements until that comes on. But also, secondly, and also these units. So these sort of want to be falling back this way, I think, and somehow building a straight line like that will then plough over this way. But further, the HTS strategy, one thing from their point of view of what they do is, I think they have a harder game. I think if the Syrians play it properly, they can't lose, and that's what I'm going to try and achieve. However, there's a few caveats to that, but with regards to the HTS strategy, what I did last time, I split off quite a big force from here and took them down here. Now, I'm sort of thinking that maybe, I wouldn't say that's not a good idea, because it was. There's no way I can take these units out without doing that. And what that allowed me to do was to basically bring everything this way. However, what I'm thinking is there's the possibility of bringing everything this way, either to deal with that or to punch through here, but to do something different with them by concentrating force. Now, just to reiterate, with regards to the Syrian strategy, if they can maintain significant, it's not just, well, basically if they can maintain significant stacks, they can't be attacked. For example, this guy's on his own. He's vulnerable. So, to some extent, we need to, well no, sorry, this guy here, we need to, to stack him up with something. Even that will be like a 1-to-1 or even a 1-to-2. the thing that the HTS have in their benefit is the ability to surround units. So for example, they could surround this guy here and maybe get a 1-to-1, maybe even get a 1-to-2, which is not good odds, but if they get a DR, they're eliminated. And they can play that sort of strategy because they can afford to lose those, they can afford to do a few of those attacks. Sometimes it's easier than others, but that's how they got these ones. They didn't beat them numerically. They surrounded these units, destroyed them. They surrounded these units, destroyed them. They surrounded these units and destroyed them. That's how they did it. Similarly over here, we lost some armour in some of these battles, and if the Syrians can stop that happening, then they stand a much better chance of winning. Now the only thing is, it's a little ahistoric because obviously this line represents, this force here represents their front line being like that, and similarly, I might not get this line properly. That's what the front line means. Now if I give up these positions, essentially it's not just giving up this area, it's assuming that this area goes on somewhere. If you think about it, you can't do that. I mean, it would have to be, everything. I mean, for all we know, the battle line could start going up this way, and this could be like a pocket. So that's a bit of an arbitrary thing to do, but I think I might do it. But I don't know really. I think I'm going to have to make a snap decision, and I don't really know. I don't want to leave these here, you see. I think what I'm going to try and do I feel as though I've got to preserve these lines. So what I'm going to try and do, because that's a harder strategy I think, to preserve the integrity of the supposed front line, and that's what I'm going to try and do, because I want to sort of, I think it's more challenging, so instead of bringing this over here and, if it was a square board it would make complete sense, but because we're trying to at least have some integrity in the overall gameplay, I think I can't do that. So what I'm going to try and do is to send over a significant force here to support these lines. So that's going to mean taking these guys over here sooner rather than later. And I am not going to push as heavily against that as I could, because obviously I'm not going to take all the force. What I'm actually going to do there is I'm going to present a stable line in which I can use my artillery to keep pounding them. Similarly over here, I'm going to produce a stable line that my artillery can keep pounding, sending a significant force to strengthen this line, maybe early on produce it, get rid of these units early on and start to build this line with some pressure in that direction, attacking these mainly with air and artillery until the reinforcements come on. That's going to be my strategy. So how can I do it? Well, first things first, we've got a fair amount here. He's on his own, so he's going to be defending. So what we've got here is a lot. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to bring these down this way. So they're stacked. This should be a 3-to-1 an exchange. And the DR. Right. Of course, if they don't do anything, they could stand to recover quite quickly. But they're not dug in, but they're in town. Right. DR. Okay, that's nice. They all went in 3 directions. This should be a 3-1. So we did quite well there. Right, so these infantry units are going to move much slower. So slow, in fact, they're going to take forever. But how far can we get these guys? Getting past the ISIS units is going to be difficult. I wonder if I can attack them. I'm not sure I can. It's not as though the Syrians were at peace with ISIS or anything like that. Okay, so that's my main movement in that area. Now this is going to be the main blocking force here with that. With the artillery, which is under there, coming down to at least get into range. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this unit is going to start pushing this way. I'm going to send a task force. I've always played strategies like this, and quite often they've turned out rubbish. Okay. Exchange. Right, so this is my strategy. Hopefully I'll be able to push all these units back. Let's just maybe have another look at that. What are they in? They're in hills. Oh, I'll just use everything. Okay, so we managed to push them back. But we can't get into the hills. Although we can do this, and I think this is fair enough. Oh, it's overkill, clearly. But not massively. And rockets onto that. And air power onto that. Okay, so that's that for the Syrian turn, first turn. Now, how do I feel about that? I think it's a different strategy, but I don't feel too bad about it. I think the only thing I've got is at risk is that and that. I can't really do much about that. I could bring down some armour to protect that. This is going to be difficult because they're going to take a long time to get through that little gap, and then they're going to have to wander all the way down here. It could take a while. But hopefully I'll be able to fight effectively across here. And as long as I can... The reason I'm doing that is not because I want more forces, it's because I want to be able to defend. You know, I think that this stack is defendable because they're two stacks. They're going to have a difficult time attacking that. You know, it might feel weak, but I think that they'll suffer. Similarly here, I think there's enough to defend. And I think we can really put the pressure on elsewhere in a more dynamic and aggressive offensive strategy, you know, in the more open parts. Okay, so let's end that turn. Right, so the HTS are thinking, well, first off, they've got to decide what they want to do with their big stack. Now, they're not party to my strategy, but we can't separate those. They've still got to make the decision of where they do, what they do with that. And it's a bit of a dilemma, really, because I obviously know that these are going to come across here, so they're going to need to defend in some way. But I think the question is, what's vulnerable? When you start to look at it, Syrians really don't have much. I did think of giving them more, but I decided not to, based on the fact that I know they get these reinforcements in. But these are weak, so they could maybe try and destroy those. They can maybe even try and destroy these now. They can maybe try and destroy these. I think I'm going to do the same strategy. I'm going to bring these units down here, because what the HTS have to do is to target weak units and to destroy them bit by bit. They can't go up against a big front line like we had over here, because it becomes too dense and they can't get the odds. So they've got to really go for their key strength, and that is mobility and the irregular the irregular sort of skills that the irregular units have, i.e. being able to multiply up on anything below 5 defense. So here we can attack these units, but these will only be one-to-ones. Well, we've got this stack here, you see, that can help. So we can really probably pound these units quite quickly. But the question is, do we feel that we've got enough down here to start surrounding these units and playing that game? And I suspect we do. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to bring 6 of these down here. I'm going to leave them partially moved in the first instance. It's 2 more units. And this guy. Right. So we've obviously got a lot in there, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we don't do it this turn, they will get into defend. They've got half their movement, so they can plow into this as well. So we'll do this. One of these guys should still have some movement. Well, there's nothing much that you can do about that really, other than maybe not move them as far forward as I did. But if they win here, disaster. 2 to 1. That was a good effort, but they failed. And they'll pay for that. It's still going to be tricky though. We have to hold out long enough for these guys to get over and really start ploughing into it. Got this section here. Whilst I think of it, see, this is the danger now they represent. We don't even have the safety to put these rockets behind the lines because they're now actually quite near. maybe not the best of things to do. I didn't think that through really. Oh, this is not good. But the exchange is not bad because they didn't get the. They got. They got an attrition from it. Should be a 3-1 and a DR. Okay. Rockets. They can't attack it. See what the odds would have been. 1-2. These are all infantry units. I mean, regular infantry, they're not mobile. Okay, so we're damaging tanks. Yeah, we retreated there. Brilliant, we don't even have to move when we get to attack them again. But that was an exchange, so not good. They should be on depression of 4 now. 5. Okay, so this stack here. Hmm. Okay, so that balances things up a bit over there. We're all used up everywhere. So they haven't had particularly much success. They failed on this attack, that would have been very nice. They didn't manage to be able to really get the critical mass over here, but next turn maybe. But again, they're very vulnerable. They're just going to get pushed around if they don't get the exchanges early on to, stop them doing that. So again, it's very early days, but the only thing I feel that the HCS has been a bit unlucky, but they haven't had that many openings. I mean, for example, they haven't destroyed any Syrian units, but they could have destroyed this unit and this unit because it's pushing 5. But I really feel that this is a threat. I feel that it really is, even if it's just that rocket unit there, this massive force, seems a threat. I don't feel as a, I think that the Syrian strategy is working. The vulnerable units are going to be reinforced. So we can't really attack that. I mean, that's infantry. We can't really go for that. We've tried our best over here. We've mostly been moving reinforcements through. Here, we haven't actually made an attack. We can't really attack that, not yet, but we can attack that. Okay, well that wasn't a good result, but it's an exchange, so they all count. Okay, so we're in that turn. Right. So their strategy is paying off. But we've obviously got a problem there. We've got to get through here, which is going to take a long time. Do I fight this ISIS unit out of the way? Let's see what happens. Dude, it works. Amazing. He's gone there. Okay, destroyed him. Ouch. Right, so he was in a town, I didn't see that. Right. Here. I'm feeling lucky, confident, but obviously it's going to still take some time to get anything over, but should be able to do some reasonable things here. 6-1, eliminated. That's what we need. It should be another 6-1. And we eliminated that. And that is exactly what we want to be doing. Four to one, DR, okay. So let's put both of them in. So it's a nice DE. So I don't want to unstack him. I know we're going to be vulnerable next turn. Okay, so we pushed him back. I'm not going to come out of the good defensive terrain there. Okay. Don't want to attack that. It's going to be just like a 2 to 1, maybe worse. Okay, so we did well over here. But they can still surround, but we've got at least some scope of defending. They could win that battle next turn, but they could equally well not win it. One of the reasons I pull back, it means I've got to move the extra X further, which reduces the total number of attacks they can have. So they're going to have to attack and win that hex to get the surround, and that's going to take resources, but they should be able to do it. Here, basically we've got to blow them to hell again, so we should be able to do it. I want to come back to this stack. I want to do deal with over here first, because now we've essentially got this stack in place to do what I wanted to do. So in the first instance, that's 2, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do it like this. It's not perfect, but we should get good odds because we've got armour versus infantry. So this might be a 7 to 1. Yep, DE. Yep, so we've now cleared that area. Exchange. So Libya is slightly vulnerable, but the bottom line is we're doing so much damage. Okay, so we've sort of got that. We need to still get rid of that unit. We got an exchange, so that wasn't good. But whoa, that was interesting. Oh, that's because he was in a village, look. Okay. We're going to have to support him in there. It's a risk, but I really want to attack these rockets. Three depressions. Now here, artillery. see what they're in. They're in a town. Exchange. They're in a town as well. I'm going to leave that. I don't need to be constantly fighting against that. They're just a holding line. Right, this area. Well, okay, so I missed that one. Okay. Let's see what the mechanized units can do on their own. DR 2 to 1. We managed to punch above our weight mostly. I knew that was going to happen. It's quite surreal, really. It's just totally use everything. So we've blown everything away. Well, I think that's a successful Syrian turn. Failed over here, doing something. It's quite vulnerable mostly over here, but we're getting there. Let's end the turn. And we've got some air power. What are we going to do with that? Let's try it on this stack here. Okay. So it's looking good, I think. But I've only got a few seconds left, so I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you in the second video.